Who is the most attractive person you've ever seen? Some friends of mine and I were walking the trail to a hot spring in the mountains of Colorado. And we passed by this other group of people going the other way. And I locked gaze with a dude who had the greenest eyes I've ever seen. He was gorgeous. We just kind of keep looking at each other until our groups were out of sight. And I've never seen him since. That was, like, 30 years ago. And I've never seen anyone as attractive as him again. Just a glimpse of a guy in the woods. And I've long since moved on with my life. But he was gorgeous. There was a girl I knew in high school who was a grade above me. Absolute stunner. Blonde. Tall. And unbelievably kind. She always waved at me when she saw me, and one time I was at a house party. When I went outside for some fresh air, she actually followed me and we ended up alone. Just talking. I seriously wish I had the confidence to shoot my shot at that time. I met a very B-list actress once. At least one role she was in. She was the quintessential blonde girl. In a room full of us normal people, she was stunning. Unbelievably good looking. This pharmacist at my CVS. Katie, if you're reading this, you fine. There was this family that always came into this cafe I used to work at that was seriously just the most beautiful family ever. Wife was a knockout. Handsome hubby. And 2 beautiful baby girls. But y'all, Grandpa came in one day with one of the babies and he was actually the finest of them all. Just a tall, salt and pepper haired, big muscled granddaddy. Had me ready to be somebody's 20-something-year-old step-granny weary face. My husband. You not. We met in middle school and I had a massive crush on him all the way through high school. A few years after high school we bonded over a Detroit Red Wings post on Facebook and it was love ever since. In real life? There was a fill-in vet in my hometown last year and he literally took my breath away when I took my dog in. He walked out and my heart skipped a beat and I was actually speechless. Dark hair. Blue eyes. Just a beautiful man. Unfortunately he left town and everyone was heartbroken and their pets were miraculously not sick anymore, rolling on the floor laughing. I'm a teacher and a student's dad came to parent-teacher conferences and I had trouble speaking because he was so attractive. The same thing happened to my coworker when he talked to her. I also went to college with Yaya DaCosta, who was on America's Next Top Model, and she was so striking in person I stopped and stared at her awestruck as she walked by. I'm a straight woman. I saw this overweight guy at a pool party. 5 minutes later some girl was drowning in the pool and he jumped in to save her. She wasn't breathing and he gave her CPR. She came back to life. He said, "There you are," and smiled while pushed her hair out of the way. I don't even swing that way, but take me bro. I was walking down the street in Manhattan and saw a model in the middle of a photo shoot. I've never seen anyone more attractive in person. Like I almost couldn't believe what I was looking at. I was in the waiting area of a chain restaurant in suburban Pittsburgh back in the early 1990s. A woman walked in and my brain did a Control-Alt-Delete. The first thought when my brain came back online was, whoever that is. She shouldn't be here, and B, I hope she doesn't ask me to kill somebody. Long story short, I later determined that the woman in question had been Ann Perillo, who was filming a vampire movie in Pittsburgh. I'd never seen any of her films before that encounter. So my reaction was independent double-blind verification of what worldwide film fans already knew. Ann Perillo is a smoke show. My old boss. Marcus, he wasn't traditionally attractive, I guess. He was 6'6", thin as a rail. Curly auburn hair. Ivory skin with slight ache scars. Deep blue eyes. His personality was just so alluring. He was always so bright and cheerful and was charming in a dorky way. He got cancer at 19. He assured us that he was fine. But the chemo wasted him to nothing with no response. He passed away a few weeks ago. I'm at a new job now, but it's still hard remembering him before the cancer. Probably gonna haunt me forever. But there was this one girl in my major who I got to know pretty well this past year in college. I mean, this girl is drop-dead gorgeous. And 100% out of my league. But anyways, out of chance I did some work with her over the course of the semester for a couple classes. And got to know her a decent amount. And that was my mistake. Because once I started to get to know her it was game over for me. She was down to earth. Funny. Bright. And just a super kind. Genuine person. which made her that much more attractive. At times, I'd find it hard to focus and would literally get butterflies in my stomach just talking to this girl. Anyways, I was too scared to ask her out because I figured there was no shot. My ex-wife. Our divorce was on decent terms and we're still fairly close, not just because she's a beautiful woman but she's intelligent, well-spoken, very educated, hard-working, and the second she became the mother to our daughter she was, and will forever be, the most attractive person I've ever seen. I wanted to work for SDPD and was about to do the physical abilities test. When you run the course, someone from HR for the city and one of recruiting officers run with you and make sure you meet the standards. When I go up to the starting line, he walks up and asks if I'm ready. I'm normally very well-spoken, confident, and never speechless. He was so goddamn drop-dead gorgeous. I only giggled in response. Like what the? That sound never comes out of me. I'm usually into blonde hair, blue eyes. But this tall, tan, dark-haired handsome man has me still thinking about him. One of the exes was pretty gorgeous too. Reminded me of Brad Pitt in Snatch. The most recent ex was very handsome and too. Had that nerdy vibe about him. But freaky in the bed. Years ago, in Philly, I was at a street corner, waiting for the light to change. I looked across to the opposite corner. And that's when I saw her. Don't ask me what she looked like. I couldn't even tell you. But the moment my eyes hit her, it was like a wave of beauty slammed into me with physical force. It rocked me, and I nearly fell over. Right there on the sidewalk. I was dazed, like I was having an out-of-body experience. For a moment, I just stood there, regaining my balance and pulling my mind back onto planet Earth. Finally, I looked back across the street, and she had disappeared into the pedestrian crowd. If it's true that after you die, you can look back at scenes from your life, well, I'd want one more glance at her. Or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it's best to just leave the magic memories alone. I was on the London Underground once and saw this tall and slim girl with the most beautiful face I have ever seen. Everything about it was perfect and I just wanted to look to admire her beauty. And she had no makeup. I didn't stare as I didn't want to seem like a freak and didn't want her to feel awkward as she was completely bald. P.S. Not into bald or anything. It's just her face was so beautiful. A girl named Heba. We dated briefly before her family forbade her from seeing me since I am not Chaldean. I only kissed her twice. She just stopped talking to me one day. I am sure it was against her wishes. I never saw her again. This guy walked into the office. I thought he was a professional cricketer at first. He was there to fix the aircon. He was so attractive I couldn't stop giggling. Unfortunately it was reality and not. So I simply embarrassed myself and got nothing back. My husband. The first time I saw him, I thought that he was a materialization of my wildest dream. When I was in community college taking IT, I randomly walked out into the hall and saw a beautiful stranger. 6 feet. Neither heavy nor thin. But curvy. Medium black hair. Thick-rimmed glasses. High cheekbones. Perfect teeth. I stood dumbstruck for a second. And she turned around and smiled at me before heading down the stairs to the exit. Never saw her again. I met this girl in Japan at a house party. Her boyfriend introduced her. I literally had to fight myself from staring at her. The guy noticed and said something like, "I know. I can't believe she's with me." The girl was trying to be goofy and joke, but like the sheer power of her attractiveness was impossibly distracting. I think they were getting married and the guy was a super nice dude, so hopefully they're happy lol. But I've never been so thrown off in my life. Rich Evans. Not even close. I met an Estonian girl on a night out one time. Totally stunning. Legit looked like supermodel. I couldn't stop talking about her to my friends. Later that week, I get introduced to another Estonian. Again stunning. I've not met any Estonians since. Are they all beautiful? Once I was at the Eaton Centre in Toronto and I saw this guy going down an escalator who was so beautiful that time seemed to stop. He looked kinda like Lee Pace as Thranduil from The Hobbit crossed with Peter Facinelli as Carlisle from Twilight crossed with Henry Cavill as Geralt from The Witcher. He was sporting a loose manbun in like 2008 before it was cool, mainstream. So I couldn't help noticing. And I remember he was wearing this navy scarf indoors even though it was August. And I swear it wafted behind him like there was wind. But that could also be my biased memory. He was that beautiful. It was ethereal. Most attractive person I've seen not in person would be the model AskReddit. IDK what it is about her. Maybe the eyes. But her facial structure is just perfect.